in Georgia, but lots of blue money is flowing in to try and take you off for the kid whose name I can never remember. How do you feel about your campaign?
Well, it's tight because we've added so many new registered voters, active voters in the last 6 years. We've added 2.5 million new active voters from California, Illinois, New York, and so forth. So it's a tight race. I feel good about it, though, because these Democrats cannot keep this lie up forever.
This lie being?
Well, if you listen to what Chuck Schumer's saying, he wants to, if he gets the majority, he wants to do away with the filibuster rule. He'll use that to add D.C. and Puerto Rico as new states. As you called out, he wants to pack the court with 4 new seats, the Supreme Court. And he eventually wants to do away with the filibuster rule. So what he's describing is a one-party system. Now, in the heat of the politics season, he wants to say, oh, well, that's just rhetoric, et cetera, et cetera. AOC and her mob of leftist Marxists are in charge of the Democratic Party right now. I hate to tell you, and that's the con they're trying to pull in Georgia.
Now, Senator Perdue, I played Chuck Schumer, the leader of the opposition, yesterday on my network, MSNBC, with Joy Reid, a friend of mine, but she's a lefty. The mask slipped for Senator Schumer yesterday, cut number 10.
The Senate. We are using all the tactics we can to slow the thing down.
Would that include adding, if the Senate becomes a Democratic majority, adding D.C. and Puerto Rico as states and ending the filibuster?
I would, believe me, on D.C. and Puerto Rico, particularly if Puerto Rico votes for it. D.C. already has voted for it and wants it. I'd love to make them states.
Okay.
And as for the filibuster, I'm not busting my chops to become majority leader to do very little or nothing. We are going to get a whole lot done, and as I've said, everything is on the table.
Senator Perdue, that means the filibuster is over, 2 new states with 4 new senators, and believe it or not, they're going to pack the court, which is a republic-destroying, shaking, radical move.
Well, what it does is it unbalances the 3 branches of government. I mean, this has never been done. We could have done, either party could have gotten rid of the filibuster rule any time in the history of our country. Both parties, up until Chuck Schumer, have resisted that because they know that we need that protection in the Senate for the minority. That's what protects our representative democracy. That's what's on the line here. It's not just economics. This is so much bigger than President Trump or me or anything else. This is about the structure of the republic that's been so successful for 230 years, Hugh.
Well, so every person who's listening, you've got to get out to vote. You've got to vote whether it is for Susan Collins in Maine or David Perdue in Georgia or Tom Tillis in North Carolina or Cory Gardner in Colorado or Martha McSally in Arizona. We've got to retain the Senate majority. Now, tell me what you thought about the debate, because it was 2 against 1 in my view, Senator Perdue.
Well, it always is. I mean, but I'll tell you what, I had 3 or 4 takeaways last night. The other night, it was ugly. It was a wrestling match. But you know what? That's what the real world is sometimes. And I thought President Trump afforded himself very well. You know, he called Biden and said, look, Trump's done more in 47 months than Biden has in 47 years. I thought that was the line of the night, and it's exactly the truth. And then we heard that, Biden would, he said, definitely he'll raise taxes. He said, definitely the filibuster and pack the court. You know, he wouldn't answer that question. He can't name one law enforcement group that supports Biden. That to me is very telling. The ex-vice president of the United States can't get one law enforcement group that's endorsing him. And, he's just very weak on law and order and safety, and that's one of the problems. And then he claimed, this is the biggest thing for me, he claimed that the Obama administration the last 3 years already had the turnaround going, the economic turnaround. Hugh, 8 years under Barack Obama and Joe Biden gave us the lowest economic output in U.S. history. That's just historical fact. Under President Trump's agenda, we've actually turned that around and created the economic miracle in the last 100 years.
Now, Senator Perdue, when I watched it, I was sort of astonished by many things, but this is the most astonishing, that the vice president would not answer about court packing. We'll put that aside. But it would be like conducting a debate in 1944 and not talking about Germany and Japan, or conducting a debate in 1984 and not talking about the Soviet Union. They did not talk about the Chinese national security threat. They mentioned tariffs in passing, but they didn't talk about the CCP. You're on armed services. What is wrong with Chris Wallace?
Well, this is the problem with the media today. They distract. Look, most of the media is trying to get an outcome, and that is defeat Donald Trump, put a liberal leftist government in place, and they think that's going to be the way forward. So this is not them reporting the news or talking about the priorities. Look, the number one threat in the United States, besides our debt, according to Mattis, is China, and I concur with that. China right now has issued their plans for their future Michael Pillsbury in the 100-Year Marathon explains it very plainly. It's a new book that's out, and they are after becoming the hegemon of the 21st century, and that means the rule maker, and they think that that's their given right from heaven. They call themselves the Middle Kingdom, and they had that role for 4,000 years, Hugh.
Is it legitimate, because of the threat posed by China, for the president to raise the financial ties of Hunter Biden, the vice president's son, to China?
Absolutely. I think this is the most undisclosed part of what's gone on in the last 4 years. Now we're seeing in the FBI probe and what's coming out, hopefully this week, is that the stuff that was going on that the Democrats accused Trump of doing with the Russian, that's collusion. Looks like now it was the Hillary campaign that was in collusion with them. And certainly what Hunter Biden did with China is unprecedented, Hugh. And the fact that we haven't really disclosed that in terms of a national security item with the son of a sitting U.S. vice president, it is amazing to me that they've gotten away with it this long.
Now, Senator, I'm very leery about getting into anybody's tax returns, and certainly not about making them public. But can Intel review Hunter Biden's tax returns? Is there any way for anyone to see where his income came from? Because it seems to me that will put an end to it. If he's not receiving money from China or associations with China, that's the end of it. If he is, we don't need to know how much. We don't need to know how much tax he paid. We just need to know that there's a relationship there.
Well, that'd be one way to do it. I'm not sure they can do that, but I think the other way is put him in subpoena and put him before our committee, the Judiciary Committee and the Senate. I think the Homeland Security has some jurisdiction there as well. And I'd like to see him under subpoena to answer the questions not only about that, but about the Ukraine as well. I mean, the timing and so forth there stinks as well. But what came out of China was just earth-shattering. The size of that private investment and private equity investment that came out of his visit over there when he traveled on Air Force Two is unconscionable. Can you imagine the son of Donald Trump going over to China and walking back with a $1.7 billion investment in his private equity fund? I mean, give me a break.
Would you explain to people how that works? A lot of people don't understand how funds work. You have to go and raise the money, and then the people who have started the fund take a management fee and a percentage of the fund. I'm putting this in layman's language. That's how it works.
That's exactly how it works. So he got a percentage of that. The problem is to get $1.5 billion with no experience, which these kids had no experience, is unheard of in the private equity world. It takes years and years. You find thousands of investors to get that kind of money invested in a private equity fund like they had. To go to China and get one check that was of that size is unprecedented, unheard of. It would have never happened if his last name had not been Biden and he had not walked off Air Force Two in Beijing.
Is that a legitimate issue in this campaign?
Well, I think yes, it is. But I think it's because of the corruption that the Democrats have accused the Trump campaign. And actually, everything that the Democrats are accusing Trump of, and me in my race, for example, they're guilty of. I mean, it is incredible. They talk about the corruption within the Trump administration. My God, we had the FBI being used under the Obama administration inappropriately, and it was known in the halls of the White House that it was being done. So we're talking about an ultimate corruption. And when they accuse us of doing something or they talk about it, you better look at what they've been doing, because they basically do what they're accusing others of doing.
Now, Senator, you've done a lot of debates. You've won every debate that you've done. I don't actually think you're going to lose this or it's going to be close. I think the people of Georgia are smart enough to return a very effective senator like you on November 3rd. But advice to the debate moderator, mine and Megyn Kelly, we were talking yesterday, Chris Wallace should have just folded his arms and let them talk to each other. Steve Scully, who's a very fine journalist from C-SPAN, I think that's what he'll do. But I see the debate commission is trying to rig it. I think the debate commission is full of leftists, is full of liberals, is full of anti-Trumpers, and I think they're going to rig it again.
Well, it was certainly rigged the other night. I was very disappointed. To throw a question out and then, let them both just argue is so amateurish and sophomoric, frankly. Look, in my race, we're going to have debates too, and I'm running against a kid named John Ossoff who has been endorsed by the Communist Party. He wants to defund the police, abolish ICE, cut the military again, just like Biden and Obama did, and just like Bill Clinton did. They cut it by 25% at a very time, and you've been talking about this, at a very time when we're trying to stand up our Navy against what China has already done. This is the worst time to do that. And
stop for a second. I really can't believe Georgia is going to elect someone who doesn't shave. I mean, really, are they going to is he within 10 points of you?
It's close, Hugh, right now. I mean, it's very close. And, I think Trump is very close in the states within the margin of error. We've got to get every Republican vote out. Go to PerdueSenate.com. Give us all the help we need. We need to stand up and make sure socialism does not run through the state of Georgia.
Perdue Senate is PERDUE Senate.com, PerdueSenate.com. Senator Perdue, always good to talk to you. I still can't believe they're going to, this kid is such a